Okay, I am going to call this meeting to order. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm going to thank you up front because it's been a long time since we filled a room like this. Since the last one. Since 2018, we were thinking. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call us to order. We'll start with roll.
Director Assad Lucas. Here. Director Battistelli. Here. Director Goldstein.
Here.
Director Marsh Holshin.
Here.
Director Potter.
Here.
Rise if you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our first order of business is a blueprint investment proposal presentation. So we have Mr. Fobert and a couple other people joining him.
Okay, good evening, Superintendent Gadowski, board members, audience members here tonight. Before I get into the business at hand, I think it's worthy to take a moment and celebrate what's happening in this room tonight. Whether you are, let's do that. There is tremendous privilege and significance in being able to engage as a community. And other than a few folks sitting up here and a smattering of others around the room, you all had a choice whether to be here tonight and whether you've shown up just to get informed, to advocate, to ask questions, or provide any other kind of feedback. That's significant in and of itself. And I'm really happy to be in a community that cares by showing up. And I think that's worthy of another round of applause. Let's celebrate community engagement. So we're here tonight to talk about Blueprint. Blueprint is really the culmination of a 2-year conversation, a 2-year dream project, a 2-year envisioning journey across many stakeholders in our community. Students, parents, community members, staff members around what is it that we love about Adams 12 5-star schools? What is it that we see adds value? What is the significance and importance of our schools? And where do we see opportunities to expand on what we love, to address things that we wish were better, and to make sure that the next generation has everything it needs to succeed and move forward and pursue their dreams like we've been able to as adults in this room. And we've been really intentional in this process over the last couple of years to really think about how our buildings and our programming work together to provide a first-class experience for our students. Because we know where you learn and the space you learn matters as much as what you learn and the experiences you have within it. And so we've been very intentional over these last 2 years as we've hosted these conversations and we've had these debates and we've dreamed about what is it that we really want in our buildings and what is it we really want in our academic programming. And so what we present to you tonight is our best thinking. And when I say our, I mean this room's and beyond's best thinking around what we want for our buildings, our schools, and our programming in those schools. From the first day, we were really clear on what the underlying values were for us as we had these conversations and we asked for people's opinions and their suggestions. You can see them on the board. They're important. We reference them throughout, and I'm going to take a moment to just go through them. We really wanted to create environments where physical and human capital support all students to collaborate, communicate, think critically, problem solve, and apply digital literacy to thrive in today's ever-changing world, to access engaging learning experiences through relevant and responsive programming, to experience high-quality instruction and support from all staff, to explore multiple pathways to success inside and outside of a traditional classroom, and fundamentally to feel welcome, seen, valued, and safe. And as we engaged in these conversations and we thought forward, we realized that there were some critical needs in our system that we felt we had to address to make good on that commitment that every student who graduates from a Adams 12 five-star school is well-equipped and fully prepared to pursue and find success in a future of their choosing. Back in 2018, this community made a significant investment in expanding career and technical education, and it was a great investment because our students told us so. It's popular, it's meaningful, it's life-changing, and we have too many kids that want to pursue it that we're not able to accommodate yet. Currently, almost 10% of our high school students are on wait lists for CTE courses, especially for high-demand courses that are very popular, very aligned to career opportunities. We want to address those wait lists, get those kids into classes. We have almost 8,000 students across 23 elementary schools that don't have access to regular computer science instruction. Digital literacy, computational thinking, design thinking is a fundamental competency for this generation. Being able to start early around being a critical consumer, having computer skills and digital skills, critically important. We want to make sure that every elementary school, not just some, is able to offer that. Next year, we as a school district will celebrate our 75th anniversary. When you've been around that long, either as a human being or a building, you need some maintenance. We have about $640 million of critical maintenance that we need in many of our buildings to keep them where they need to be to ensure a great learning experience. Like many industries, finding and retaining great talent is a constant struggle, and more so now than it's ever been. We started this school year with 128 vacancies across our system. We need to be able to compete for great teachers at every level in our system with other districts around us that are looking for the same. There were many stories shared in this room last week, and we may hear some more tonight, about the power of a single teacher and a single moment in a classroom to completely change the trajectory. Get introduced to CAD for the first time, and it opens up a whole new world. Get asked to participate in a club, and confidence soars for a kid. We also talked about wanting to expand CTE offerings for kids. That's a different type of competition. When we're hiring a fourth grade teacher or a middle school social studies teacher, we're competing against graduates from education school. When we want to go out and find a world-class cybersecurity teacher, we're competing with the NSA. When we want to go out and find a world-class plumbing teacher, we're competing with private industry for that. That's a different kind of competition. We want those instructors in front of our kids, but we have to be able to compete in a different way to get them. Many of you know that during the pandemic era, we added, rightly and necessarily so, extra staff to support students with their academics and their mental health. That money that came during the pandemic era has run out, but the need has not. We still have kids that need to catch up academically. We still have kids that need ongoing support in their mental health. We want to be able to continue to provide that because it's making a difference and our kids need it. Everybody in this room has probably a variety of interesting memories about school lunch. We're really lucky in Colorado, I think, that lunches and breakfasts are universally provided for students. We in Adams 12 want that food to be the best it can be. You may not know this, but we don't currently have a central warehouse to store food. And because of that, there's only one supplier in town who's willing to deliver the food to all of our 50+ schools. That's not great for competition, and it's not great for us being able to say we like those carrots but not those carrots. We really are advantaged in providing great food for our kids if we have our own central storage warehouse. It's a key piece of this plan. Safety, it's the most important thing we do. As parents, we know we think about it every day. I'm proud to say we have a great foundation and legacy of safety, but that's always something you invest in, and that's always something you're looking to improve upon, and we do have critical systems around safety that we want to continue to update. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce some of my colleagues who are going to tell you a little bit more about the specifics around these investments and the two portions, both a mill levy override and a bond that are going to fund our blueprint plan moving forward. So please join me in welcoming our Chief Academic Officer, Megan Kane.
Thank you. As many of you know, I love nothing better in education than a full house of our community, students and educators, and our leaders across our system. So I just want to say thank you for taking the precious time out of your schedule to come here and sit with us as a community to really wrap our arms around our district and really talk about why this is so important, both for our students, our staff, and for our community altogether. So our proposed mill levy override is $34.5 million with a tax rate increase. Costs a homeowner about $20 more each month on a home valued at about $500,000. And many of you, like me, currently live in our neighborhood, and this is something that we've watched as the value of our neighborhood has gone up over the course of time. Also is our imperative to make sure that our schools remain places and spaces that our kids and families want to come and build homes and lives for their students. And so this revenue then in turn would be really invested in really two big buckets that we think about when we talk about a mill levy override. One is expanding our CTE and STEM opportunities at all levels for all students. You heard Bo reference computer science, expanded pathways at high school, but really starting to expand pathways at middle school as well, so that our middle school students can start to wonder and dream about what pathway might be just right. What's just right for me as my world opens up to my opportunities. Also within this is this idea about how do we make sure that through those opportunities we don't close doors to opportunities. And what we mean by that is with the amount of classrooms we have and teachers that are qualified to teach those classrooms and offerings that we have, we want to make sure that there's enough. If students say they want to go take welding, how do we make sure we have enough spots to help them go into that pathway? And they may decide, I want to stay on this pathway, or the next year they might want to venture and say, welding maybe wasn't for me, but this time I want to think about the computer science pathway and what that might mean for me. And so we want to open those doors for our students as they think about the architecture of what they want to do with their lives. And then secondly, in order to make that happen, we have to be able to attract and retain high quality staff. I think I was in a really interesting conversation the other day with folks talking about the love for education and the yearning that we had during the pandemic. And then post-pandemic, the challenges that we've had, filling those spots for our students, making sure that we have the very best people in front of each other at all times. And so one way that we do that is we make it possible for our staff to live within our community and be able to afford housing here and be able to call the profession of teaching, which I've been so lucky to benefit from, call it their career and something that they can afford to do long term. But then also really thinking about our friends that are in the most challenging environments, that are experiencing some of the highest risk factors when they come to school, and knowing that school serves as a protective factor for those students, a place where they feel safe, they know they're going to have food, and they have adults that are highly invested in their success us and championing their hopes and dreams and pathways that they choose to be on. It takes special educators to be able to do that kind of work and show up in a fully authentic way on a daily basis for our families that need it the most. And then really providing those ongoing supports. The other thing we know is that there will always be students that need academic interventions. It's not just going to stop because we're in the year 2024. All of us enter school with gifts, and all of us enter school with opportunities to grow. And we want to make sure that we have people positioned to provide that intervention and support as our students need it. And then lastly, the importance of people to help our children navigate their life skills. How do we hold our mental health and sense of belonging at the same level of magnitude and importance that we hold our students' sense of academic belonging? And we do that by ensuring that we have staff that are highly skilled to be able to lean in when our students need a level of support that our general education teacher cannot provide right in that moment, right at that time. But these are the wraparound supports that we put in place for our students to ensure that whatever that pathway is that they choose, they've also got partners that are going to help them navigate the ups and downs of being a student in school. So I'm proud to present my counterpart, Molly Brandt, our Chief Operating Officer.
Well, thank you for being here. It's awesome to look out and see this room full. When I started in Adams 12, it was 2016, and I remember this night from that year. And I think many of you are shaking your heads. You feel the same that I feel tonight. So thanks for being here. Our bond, $830 million without a tax increase. What an impact that could have on our staff, our students, our community, our day-to-day lives. We talk about it in 3 buckets. We call them the 3 R's: our renewal, our rebuild, our reimagine. And how can we look at our facilities in that way? So as for renewal, this is where we always talk about warm, safe, and dry. But this is where comfort comes from, right? This is where that sense of pride that we want our staff and our students when they pull up to our buildings and our parents to have. This is where we will invest in our aging buildings around roofs and plumbing and heating and cooling, furniture, playgrounds. This is where we also have IT and a lot of our safety improvements. We want to renew and invest into our aging buildings. Our second bucket is rebuild. And as we think about rebuild, I think of it in 2 buckets: rebuild and build. So one of the largest bond investment would be Thornton High School. $236 million. Woo! $236 million, our largest bond investment in this package. This is an aging building that has reached its operational end of life. And what it would mean to re-envision, to rebuild, and provide a functioning operational learning environment for decades to come is something I don't think we can imagine today, but we have the possibility to imagine. And with this measure. So that could and has the impact of all of our community, right? That's going to affect many. As we look at the new build, we think about things like our central kitchen and warehouse, and Bo talked about that. If you're hungry, you can't learn. If you're hungry, you can't teach. If you're hungry, you can't lead. And a lot of the things we do now in school nutrition is provide access to food. We serve 20,000 meals a day. That's larger than a lot of the fast food chains around here. And we want it to be a meal and a menu that students have input in, that they see themselves in their menu, that meets their cultural, nutritional values. It's important to invest in school nutrition, especially with universal meals here to stay. And finally, Finally, reimagine. This is how do we imagine new spaces for our students. So middle school CTE, the north side of Bowman, our Bowman campus, how does that look and feel in a CTE space as we rebuild and reimagine that? The addition to Future Forward Wash Square campus, how can we reimagine what pathways are possible for our students? So that kind of is the high-level $830 million bond plan that can be very impactful as we go forward. I want to end with the two funding proposals. You just heard Megan talk about our mill levy override. You just heard me talk about our bond. So we need both measures to march forward, right? Our bond invests in our facilities, right? Those 3 R's, the rebuild, the renew, the reimagine. And partnered with that, we've done such a strategic effort in partnering and programming and thinking, how can the facility lend itself to programming and pathway opportunities? And so it's the two-prong approach that we have here tonight. And before I move on, I want to pass it off to our superintendent, Chris Godowski, to talk a little bit more about the data and thoughts around our mill levy override.
Thank you, Molly. So I'd like to spend some time just talking about the financial piece of this and the why behind staff recommending to the board that they certify these two different measures, one the bond measure and the other being the mill levy override. I'm confident that I speak on behalf of the entire leadership team that I work with and leaders throughout the system that we don't ask the community for more money lightly. We know that many in this community struggle to pay bills and to maintain that quality level of life, and that asking for some more money, especially in the override, may add an additional pinch to what's already a tight household budget. So we don't come to this lightly, but we're convinced, given what's transpired in Colorado over the last 30 years, that the moment we face today, it's absolutely necessary for our community to support both of these measures. So let me tell you a little bit more about that why. I won't say much about the bond because I've not received as many questions about the bond. Perhaps some of that is because our proposal is less than what most of the metro area districts are asking for. You may have seen that Aurora Public Schools certified a $1 billion bond measure. You may have heard that Denver Public Schools has certified a $975 million bond measure, or that Cherry Creek has certified a $950 million measure. In comparison, our $830 million ask is modest, appropriately so and designed to be that way. Out of the districts, the top 6 districts in the state, we're the 6th largest. Only Jeffco's sitting this cycle out, and only Douglas County has a smaller ask than us. And that's largely a function that Douglas County is a younger school community than Adams 12. Douglas County really didn't start to boom until the mid-'80s and beyond, when Highlands Ranch came online and people started building houses and buying houses left, right, and center. So they don't have the same sort of need for renewal and refreshing that a more mature school district like Adams 12 does when our growth curve started 15 to 20 years before them. Perhaps it's also because there's not a tax rate increase attached to our bond measure. And the why behind that, at the most simple level, is that property values have increased substantially enough over the last few years, and we've paid down enough debt over the last 8 years since our last bond was passed that we can ask for $830 million and not increase people's tax rates in the community. So I probably won't spend a lot more time talking about the bond, at least at this point in my comments. But the mill levy override, I just want to create some context. When I first started as an attorney in 1994, our Colorado law said that you could pass a mill levy override, but the maximum you could ask for is a 7.5% bump on top of what our school formula at the state level provided for. So at 7.5%, you could do some extras. You could make things fancier maybe than your neighboring district. You could add some bells and whistles, but it was a pretty modest amount of money. And that began to change fairly dramatically about 15 years ago, right when I started in this job, with the introduction of the budget stabilization factor. I can recall going to a meeting with Governor Ritter. I was 3 or 4 months into this job. He had his education advisors, budget advisors there, and they talked about introducing this concept of a negative factor or budget stabilization factor. And the why behind that was that the state was in the midst of the Great Recession. They just didn't have enough money to pay for all of the expenses of state government and increase funding for K-12 by the amount of inflation on top of what they've been doing before. And I think most of us in the K-12 community felt like it's going to be painful, but there's pain all throughout our communities and throughout other agencies, and we need to take our fair share of that too. What everyone thought at that time was that this budget stabilization factor, negative factor, would last for 2 or 3 years. And unfortunately, it lasted for 15, and it just finally went away this year. So this current school year is the first time that we've caught up with all the inflation that's happened in our economy compared to 2009, and really has brought us to the levels of funding that were back in place in Colorado in 1989, which is the way Amendment 23 was structured years ago. Because of that long 15-year period of deprivation and not having the resources that public had needed, a strange dynamic started to happen. Lots of school districts said, we can't survive and attract teachers, pay them what they deserve, provide programming to kids, add the services and supports that our community demands within those parameters. And so the legislature started adding more and more permissible supplemental overrides that you could pass to increase your local funding. And so those days of having a 7.5% additional pot of money for extras has now changed that you can supersize your funding by up to 50%. And we have districts adjacent to us like Boulder Valley who have done just that. Beyond that, what we've seen is that a lot of school districts have jumped in even more recently, even since our 2018 mill levy override, and asked their community for more money. What they've recognized is that this is a much more expensive place to live all the time. Housing prices in particular have skyrocketed dramatically since we were last in this room in 2018. And so we now find ourselves in a very different spot in terms of revenue compared to peers than we were even 6 years ago. So if we can go to the next slide, I've got some comparative data to show. Here's where we currently stand now in terms of the supplemental mill levy override revenue per pupil. And you can see that we're 13th out of 15th, $1,903 per student. That no longer pays for extras, it pays for basics, like compensating your educators effectively, having the right mental health support and interventionists in place in the school, offering the programs like CTE that kids and parents want us to provide. And we find ourselves dramatically behind so many of our peer districts. The only two that are below us, I'll just say Adams 14 you can see is the lowest funded in terms of supplemental revenue in the entire metro region. And I think many of us in this room are well aware that Adams 14, in part because of those financial challenges, has been on the cusp of third-party management, state takeovers, reorganization. They've had a very challenging time. And one of the things that's made that work much more challenging there is they can't pay teachers as much, they can't have as many teachers. They're constantly struggling with, do we pay teachers more, but then have huge class sizes? Do we have small class sizes, but pay our teachers less and then have lots of vacancies? 27J, the one right below us, I think we're all well aware too of some of the challenges they had. And really as a final desperation measure so that they could be a more competitive destination for staff, they transitioned a few years ago to a 4-day school week. The people above us are doing quite a bit more in terms of what they can offer in terms of compensation, in terms of programming, and just basic resources that communities demand. And when you start to multiply those differences that you see on there, like Boulder Valley, $4,478 supplemental revenue per kid, $2,575 more than what we get in Adams 12, and you multiply that by the 35,000 students we serve in our district managed schools and our charter schools, that's a $91 million a year difference in terms of what Boulder Valley receives. And as a result of that, some of what I was going to share later, I'll just weave in now. There's a lot of things that become challenging as a result. When you look at average teacher compensation, in Boulder Valley, they're #1 in the metro region. Out of our neighboring districts, our regional competitors for compensation, only 2 districts are lower than us. Guess which 2, given what I've said and given this chart? Adams 14 and 27J. Boulder Valley, the average teacher makes $96,820 a year. That's $19,380 more than what we pay in Adams 12. We're the bottom of the 8 districts that are not completely behind us in terms of mill levy override. So Boulder's at 96,820, Cherry Creek's at 90,754, Denver 80,414. And then we're more tightly and closely tethered to Westminster and St. Vrain and Mapleton and Jeffco, but even Jeffco's $1,500 more a year in terms of what they compensate teachers. So instead of having a system that I once participated in here as a student in Adams 12, where we had a fair shake and comparable resources to other districts in the region, we're dramatically behind anymore our peer districts, and we can't continue to offer what this community wants and demands with those huge deficits in funding. Next slide. So this slide talks about what happens if this $34.5 million mill levy override passes, and where does it take us in terms of average per pupil funding compared to peers in this mill levy override space. And you'll see we're not asking to be top of the pack. Frankly, folks, we're never going to be top of the pack unless there's a dramatic change in how our state funds schools and permits schools to be funded, because our property values in Adams 12 are so much lower than a Boulder Valley, a Denver Public Schools, a Cherry Creek, that the tax burden would just be too great to be number 1, 2, 3, 4 on this list. What we're asking very modestly is help us get to the middle of the pack. We work really hard, creatively, thoughtfully, in a collaborative way in this district. We have great culture. We have people with a can-do attitude. And being middle of the pack, we can make a lot of things happen that we can't make happen when we're 13th out of 15th here. Next slide. And if we don't pass, it's possible that we could move to 14th out of 15th in terms of this peer district metro area comparison. Adams 14 is expected to place a significant mill levy override measure on the ballot this week as well, perhaps next week if they're not done this week because the deadline is coming near. And if they were to pass and we weren't, you see that we're only ahead of 27J. And even at that, what I'll say is 27J has an override that's going to continue to grow dramatically upward because there is so much growth in that community in terms of new housing and new business that they'll quickly, maybe even within the next 2 or 3 years, be at a spot where they're catching us and surpassing us. So the why behind this, it's not because we're trying to create an empire. It's not like we aspire to be number 1 in funding. We recognize very much that asking our community for money poses challenge for some families and making their budgets work, but we can't wait any longer if we want to continue to provide this community a first-class education. So I hope that helps explain some of the why behind why we're here tonight. Bo, back to you.
Thank you, Superintendent Gadowski. I think now is a good time to hear from some other voices in the room tonight. I want to take those few of those buckets that we shared and add a little more color and depth and a little more personal story to them. So one of the big investments, you've heard it a few times tonight, is investments in CTE and STEM opportunities for our students. I want to be really clear, this calls out career readiness. It also is college readiness, and it's not an either or, it's an and or when we talk about this. Certainly we expand these opportunities for kids in these fields, and it can be a bridge right into career through a certification, through a connection with an industry, go out, leave our high schools, move right into a well-paying job and independence and flourishing. Many times though, the CTE courses spark interest in kids. I take a construction class and I want to go get an architectural degree. I take an education class and I want to go become a teacher, maybe in Adams 12. It's not one or the other, it's both. And sometimes you need both to find your path moving forward. And so we want to start early with that computer science at elementary school. We want to start offering CT at middle school where our kids are saying, we want to be hands-on. We want to start exploring things, finding out how things work, finding out how we work. If you remember middle school, it is about finding out how you work and what you're interested in. And then in high school, becoming more clear on that. What speaks to you? Where do you want to go when you leave us? And how can we help prepare you down that road? And we're really fortunate tonight that we're going to hear from some people in our system about the transformative and amazing power that CTE and STEM courses allow in our system. So please join me in welcoming Tessa Gargano, our assistant principal at Future Forward Washington Square, and Miguel Rodriguez Lopez. He's a senior in our system at Northglenn High School, Future Forward student. Took firefighting last year successfully. This year he's taking welding and EMT courses. He's a Future Forward All-Star, and he's here to drop some wisdom on all of you tonight. Please welcome Tessa and Miguel.
Good evening. I'm Tessa Gargano. I'm the assistant principal at Future Forward Washington Square, one of our CTE campuses in Adams 12. My Adams 12 journey began as a kindergartner at Cotton Creek Elementary. By 16, I had found my home in CTE at Northglenn High School. After working in industry for several years, I realized that CTE is where my passion was, so I found my way back to the classroom. In 2020, such a fun time, along with my wonderful team, we welcome students to our Washington Square building for the first time. It has been inspiring watching our students find their passion and their career pathways within our building. One of my favorite moments in our school is that spring semester when you walk around and you see these kids that have been learning the material all fall semester into spring, and something clicks, and now they're speaking like they're in the industry. It's so invigorating to hear kids in EMT running calls with paramedics in the field coming in to work with them, walking into the diesel shop and seeing kids work on customer work on these vehicles. And it just really brings back the why we do this. Well, now our building is full after just 5 years. So tonight I want to talk about the expansion of career and technical education, or CTE as we've all been referring to it. CTE programs in Adams 12 are more than just a set of classes. These are pathways to real-world skills and meaningful careers. It is our mission to provide authentic, hands-on learning experiences where students can explore their career interests, develop specialized skills, and gain a competitive edge in the job market. One of the greatest benefits of CTE is that it provides students with that clear connection between education and their future careers. CTE pathways lead to high-paying, in-demand jobs and even opportunities to earn college credit and industry certifications. This not only empowers our students to follow their dreams, but also equips them with the tools that they need to be successful in a rapidly changing economy. Moreover, expanding CTE programs will address a crucial need within our community by preparing a skilled workforce within our local industries. By aligning our programs with the needs of our industry partners, we create a pipeline of talent that supports economic growth and stability, and in turn benefits our entire community as we foster innovation and strengthen our local community. Investing in CTE is an investment in both our students' futures and in the future of our community. It ensures that every student has access to high-quality, relevant education that provides them with real-world success. By passing this bond and this mill, we are committing to a brighter, more prosperous future for our students and our community. Working together, we can make this vision a reality and pave the way for a successful future for every young person within our district. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Miguel, and he can talk about his one-on-one experience. Like Bo said, he completed our fire pathway and now is moving on to continue and seek more opportunities. Here's Miguel.
Hi everybody, my name is Miguel. This is my first time doing this, so I am pretty nervous, I'm not gonna lie. But when I entered high school, I really did think I was gonna be bored all the time. I just thought it was gonna be every day of my life, just 8 hours a day, have one period of lunch, I'm back to it again the next day, study for just, math. Math is something I've always struggled with, I'm gonna be honest. But when I heard about this program, I looked into it, and then I did want to do welding first. I've always wanted to do welding class, but then my parents talked me to firefighting, and I was like, no, we're just going to go into firefighting. We're going to be like, oh, just sit down, read your book, You're just gonna open up the hose once or twice. You're not even gonna turn off a real fire. You're gonna wear a suit that doesn't even fit you. You're probably just gonna try an air tank that has been used by everybody, and just the typical thoughts that you would think it's boring just because it's high school. So I give it a shot. I did. I was pretty nervous when I went in, and my instructors they welcomed me in as if they already knew me. They were like, "Hey, how are you doing? Don't be nervous. Everything's gonna be okay. We're gonna have a lot of fun in this class." And I was like, "Yeah, of course we are." And then first day comes, and they're already giving us our gear, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So they're already telling us what we're gonna need, and how we gotta dress professionally, and how we can't be wearing jeans and just a shirt. We have to go in certain clothing so we can like distinguish ourselves in between the crowd, so we can look like if we are actually part of a class that we want to be in. And Mr. Sherry, my instructor, he always did tell me, he was like, "Hey, just give it a shot. It's not that bad." And there was a few days that I walked into class, I was like, "Oh, we're just gonna sit down and do our work again," and nothing. But then came the day where we started competing with each other in our class, in our classmates, and that's when I started to like it, because yes, I'm a competitive person. And Mr. Sherry, he started telling us, he was like, "If you guys are competitive, you guys will like this class." So I was like, okay. And we got our gear. We got gear that fits us, boots that fit us, jackets, helmets, hoods, everything that you need that you're gonna wear as a firefighter. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And then first day comes, me and one of my best buddies that took that class too. He was a junior at the time. He already graduated, but me and him were always so competitive with each other. He was always 1 second faster than me, and it was just always me and him, and we would always try our best. But I'm not gonna lie, there was a few days where you walk into class and you're tired and don't want to do anything. And your instructors won't force you. They won't be like, "Hey, no, let's get up and I'm telling you to do this." They won't. They just want you to give it a shot. They want you to give it a try. They really want you to show your effort, because they know you got it, or you wouldn't be in that class. They wouldn't have given you the chance to be in that class. So so we're going through year one. We learned how to use hoses. We learned different patterns, the tools we're gonna use in the firefighting service, how an engine works, the different stages of firefighting. So first year I didn't let her, sadly, because I didn't take it seriously. I really didn't. And I was really sad about it, because second semester came and I was really upset. I was like, wow, I can't believe I didn't make it. And that's when I was like, I really like this. This is my passion. I really use all my physical abilities here, all my strength. I can use everything I have, all my skills, all my tactics, everything that I've always learned since I was a little kid. And, just be a kid, have fun. Get people with the hose. Don't get in the way, because you guys will get sprayed and pretty hard. Watch your fingers and toes when you guys are putting down a ladder. Obviously, you guys don't want to lose a finger. And just always come prepared to class. So second year came, I came in with more energy, more confidence. That's one big thing they do teach you there, confidence. Be confident in yourself. You always got it. It's not even that bad. Like right now, I'm really nervous, and I know I'm gonna go home later and be like, wow, it wasn't even that bad. But I mean, second year came, and they were like, hey, he's back. Because I wasn't thinking of taking it just because of how upset I was that I didn't let her first year. So I was like, you know what, it's okay, I'll give it another shot. It was better than last year. We did do live fire burns. We went to North Metro Training Grounds, and we did do live fire burns. We were in basement with fires that were controlled, obviously, but we were the ones that were supposed to turn it off. We moved heavy hoses. We dragged those the fake suits that weigh, that are like dummies, bodies. We learned how to save people. We learned how to quickly change, how to stay calm in a moment of adrenaline, how to keep your inner peace while you're dealing with flames that are basically covering your whole view, where you can't even see your hand in front of your face, where you guys are hearing all these different sounds. And it was just a very great experience. It really was. And that's where I found my passion, firefighting. And I hope that any other student that takes this class feels the same way someday, because it is a class that you guys will get tired in. You guys will sweat a lot. You guys will get dirty. You guys will sometimes get muddy more than anything, but you guys will obviously, clean your own gear. Don't be a dirty person. They'll teach you guys how to be respectful, how to talk to your elderly, how to help others. how to learn how to talk, how to learn how to speak in a respectful manner, how not to be so aggressive with others, how not to horseplay when you guys are moving heavy objects around, when you guys are moving fans, hoses, when you guys are charging up a hose line that has like 300 PSIs, that just really strong equipment that we use. And I also really liked it just because I'm an active person and I do really like to do a lot of physical work. And that was also why I liked the class, because I was able to, like I said earlier, I was able to use all my strength at some point or another. And then that's where my teachers, that's where I got my nickname Manchild, where they got to see what I had in me, where they were like, oh, he's really liking the class. And I really did. I loved the class. It felt like the real world. It really did. It felt like if I was stepping into the real world, take calls, like Ms. Gargano said, my assistant principal, help the EMTs. We're doing classwork out of nowhere. They call us on the radio, hey, we need you guys. Change in less than a minute, be out there with our crew, make sure you have everything on, all the right equipment, make sure you guys know how to handle how to pull someone upstairs, how to push someone downstairs. But it was a pretty great experience. I really loved it. And when this year started to end, I lettered. I did. I got my certificate. Thank you. I got my certificate. I was really happy. My good buddy was there. He was really glad I was there too. Because first year he was upset with me. He was like, hey, you should have tried harder. I should have. But here comes second year, And it felt really good. It felt really good being in that chair, earning my certificate, knowing that my instructors believed in me, knowing that I have always had someone that believed in me. My parents, my sisters, my family. And then now someone that I thought was a stranger that became someone really close to me, which were my instructors and my friends. They became like family. And we are a family in the firefighting service. We always are, no matter what crew you're in, what station you're in. You guys really learn how to work with each other, no matter if you guys don't like how you guys look, no matter if you think one person is ugly, no matter if you think they're pretty. You guys, we don't judge. We don't judge. We work with each other. We help each other. We learn each other's fears, what each other's strengths are, and we support each other through anything that we struggle with. And that's one thing that I really liked, because there was a few times where we were doing a drill, and there was a kid, oh, I can't do this, I can't move this. And it wasn't more of like, oh, we would get mad at them, we would help them. We would be like, it's okay, calm down, we're here for you, we're a team. And that's what this class taught me about. Teamwork is really helpful in this life. You might think, oh, I got it by myself. I'm always going to be by myself for the rest of my life. No, you're not. There's always going to be that one person that is going to help you through anything, even if you see them once a year, twice a year, your whole life. They're always next to you probably. But there's always something that motivates you. And this was a class that motivated me to stay in high school, to keep my grades up, to try hard, to graduate on time. And also thanks to my mom. She kept me, her and my dad, they kept me on the right path. They were a bit worried because, yes, the firefighting service is a bit dangerous. It is. Anything can happen at any moment, any call. You guys can get hurt at any moment. Any class that we're taking here, in the future, in the long run, there will be moments where you guys will be in an unsafe place. But that's what we learn here, how to be safe on those moments, how to take one of those panic attacks and control them and make them into a calm, peaceful situation. How to be with someone at a certain point and they're like, they're being aggressive with you, they're cussing you out, they're being like, they're just violent with you. And you staying calm, not talking back, just being there like, hey, it's okay. Like, let them cool off. And it was just a very nice experience for me, those 2 years. They really were. And I didn't want to take EMT class just because I knew about all the hard work that I was going to do. But I knew I had a passion for firefighting, and I knew it was going to be easier for me after high school to get into an academy and then to get into a station. And one of the firefighters there, Mr. Curry, I got really close to him too. He's very cool. He's very fun. He took me out of class. He was like, hey, listen. He talked me into it. He really did. He was like, look, I believe in you, man. So here I go. I signed up for EMT. I'm trying welding too. I like welding. I actually do. It's a pretty fun class, you know. Instead of turning off fires, I turn them on now. And it's just a place, it's a spot where I found where I can like actually like be in peace, where I'm actually using my hands, where I'm being like hands-on with something, where I'm not just learning about it, writing it down on paper, doing notes, and, you know, just learning how to help each other in the real world, learning how it feels to step out of your house, one day live on your own, wake up 4:30 in the morning, go to my job, get out, you know, knowing that I studied for it, knowing how confident I was, just because of the people that actually were there. Because they, like you guys said earlier, you guys really do help us. Like all our teachers there, they're a good staff. If they see a student that's having a bad day, they go up to them, they're like, hey, what's going on, you okay? They're always there for us. And I'm just very thankful that we're trying this out. And hopefully we are able to expand our building, because for the future students, it would be really fun. You know, having an extra part of the firefighters out there, you know, having their own little place where they can actually park their fire truck, and like, you know, hopefully have it made one day, you know. Hopefully they can just be there, you know, and have fun just like I did. And, you know, back to the firefighting. I know I'm talking a lot about it, but it was just something really cool, really fun. But it's just a class where like you learn a lot, where you learn that there's days that you're gonna have a bad day, but no matter how bad that day is, you gotta leave it at home. You gotta leave it at home. You can't bring it into that class. You gotta realize that it's like a job that you're trying out for the future. You gotta just, like, you know, try to be on your best behavior, and, you know, just try as hard as possible. And you're always gonna have someone by your side. Yeah.
Hold on, before you go, hold on. So thank you, Miguel. That was excellent. By the way, I want you to know, Chris and I always get the wrap it up, so welcome to the club. Happens to all of us. Do you have some plans? You got eye on something when you graduate this spring?
This spring when I graduate, get into firefighting. Hopefully get into an academy, find an academy, and, you know, start.
Awesome. Good luck to you. Thanks for being here tonight. Another key piece we've talked about, and I see many, many examples in this room tonight, is the importance of high-quality, excellent staff. We've all, at some point, been students. We know what a difference it makes to have a really amazing teacher and what that can do for you. And we're very lucky in Adams 12 to have so many of them. And we want to keep them, and we want to find the next generation. And this investment proposal really is about securing that most precious commodity that we have in this system, and it's the quality of our people. And as we think about really wanting to make sure that we're competitive in those districts that Chris talked about, that we retain people in our system, and that we provide the right supports of students, got some friends tonight to talk about those with you. So please join me in welcoming Shannon West and Vicki Murray, principal and assistant principal at Thornton Elementary. Isn't it nice when you have some of your own in the crowd? And also, please join me in welcoming former Adams 12 parent and someone I had the pleasure of working with over several years, Miss Christine Brzanskits.
Thank you. Good evening, board members, Superintendent Godowski, and Adams 12 community. My name is Shannon West, and I'm the principal at Thornton Elementary. Thank you for this opportunity to share some of the recent highlights from the new competitive salary and compensation program at Thornton Elementary. The start of our school year has been remarkable. When we wrapped up last June, we achieved something unprecedented in my 12 years at Thornton Elementary. We were fully staffed with certified educators, and I'm proud to say we've maintained that full staffing to this day. In addition to hiring, our new compensation contracts have also played a pivotal role in our strong start for the year. By providing our certified staff with the opportunity to return early, we were able to maximize our onboarding and preparation time. As early as July 24th, our capacity builders and early educators were back in the building, engaging in strategic trainings, mentoring, and role-playing to ensure solid implementation of school-wide systems and trauma-informed practices. Also during this time, we facilitated a range of professional development opportunities. All classroom teachers participated in 2 full days of advanced math training, making sure they are well prepared to deliver high-quality instruction from day one. We also partnered with Thornton Middle School and participated in a 1-day Kagan training, which is designed to enhance collaborative teaching strategies. This additional time also allowed our instructional leadership team to spend an entire day planning our school-wide goals and action steps for this year. We have hit the ground running, and today I was super excited to participate in grade level DDIs for the 2nd week in a row, which student work was at the table and teachers were setting rigorous academic goals for student achievement. It was awesome. These efforts, combined with the countless other tasks necessary to prepare for the school year, have collectively contributed to a robust start for Thornton Elementary. This early return allowed for an extraordinary amount of learning and preparation for setting a strong foundation for our year ahead.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, board, Superintendent Godowski, and all the members of the community. I'm really excited to be here. This is my 21st year in Adams 12, and I hope that we'll be able to retain a lot of our teachers for that long with the new passing of the mill levy override. Shannon spoke of the opportunities our certified staff had before school started. And although this meant returning early from summer break, the feedback from our staff has been extremely positive. On the Friday before the first day of school, our staff shared feedback on the extended preparation time and professional learning opportunities. According to the survey, 100% of staff agreed that the additional work days and school-provided professional development were highly beneficial, helping them feel well prepared for a strong start with students. Here are a couple comments submitted by our teachers. One of our teachers shared, having our full day trainings on 2 days and having the rest of the week split into meetings and individual work time has made the mad rush of the beginning of the year manageable. I feel less stress and more prepared. I feel like I have a better grasp of who my students are and the best way to start the school year. We also have teacher leaders, and one of our teacher leaders said, I liked the ILT day to build community, ground in our work, set up systems and structures, set up our quarter goals, and start creating look-fors. I like getting to check in with our early educators throughout their first week so they got to know me and I could also help field questions so they didn't overwhelm their teammates. Thornton Elementary wants to thank you for your continued support, which has allowed us to enter this school year with a clear vision, well-trained staff, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. By providing competitive compensation, growth opportunities, and support, we know we will recruit and retain high-quality staff. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a lot of people here. Hello. More than I'm accustomed to speaking in front of. But hello, my name is Christine Berzanskis, and I've had 4 boys in the Adams, in the district. And we've had many, many wonderful instructors, so that has been a great experience. I'm speaking today in favor of the proposed override for the mill levy. That provides academic support. My youngest son, Ryan, graduated at Legacy High School in May. Whoop, whoop. He was diagnosed with a common learning disability, dyslexia, when he was in 2nd grade. However, he didn't receive effective intervention until he was in 7th grade. And that stayed with him then through high school, which was excellent. Once he had effective intervention from highly qualified instructors, because that's the key, the highly qualified instructors, we saw steady progress in his ability to read, and he graduated high school at a 10th grade reading level. He's severely dyslexic, so that was a great accomplishment. Thank you. Effective intervention for those who need it is crucial throughout a student's time in school. Dyslexia affects students in different ways, with some students needing more intervention than others. The district has done an admirable job, truly come a long way, in recognizing the benefit of early detection and intervention that will improve student outcomes and reduce the number of students who need extensive intervention. But there will always be students like my Ryan who need more intensive intervention than others, and for a longer time. This funding and service is crucial to their success. So Ryan is doing well. He's very happy he's working. He would be here tonight if he didn't have a job and, had to work. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you three so much. And finally, let's spend a moment sharing some details about the importance of our facilities. That includes safety, that includes great roofs, effective HVAC systems, and schools where our teachers can thrive and our students can thrive. And we've got a couple folks that are going to talk about that experience and the importance the environment has on teaching and learning. So it's my pleasure to introduce Allison Davis, who is the parent to 3 students at STEM Lab, a first grader, a third grader, and a sixth grader, and she's here, and it's almost 8 o'clock, it's past 8 o'clock, and that's fantastic. And then Charles Ariano, who is principal at Thornton High School, a proud Thornton High alum. Oddly, my notes don't have the year of graduation, so we'll have to have Charles fill that in for us, but please welcome Allison and Charles.
Oh, a microphone. I think we can all agree that having to replace the roof of our home, or the crack in the driveway that everyone keeps tripping over, or the toilet that keeps backing up in our apartment is probably not our favorite way to spend our money or our time. But we do it, right? To prevent something much worse or costlier happening. And because it's our home and our livelihood and our safe place. Much like what schools should be for our children. And when we create a safe, welcoming, and comfortable school environment, we allow students to be fully engaged in the green zone and ready to learn. I have one particular little guy that does not like to stay in the green zone. Thank you, STEM Lab teachers. That way they can push their body to the next level during PE because the gym finally has air conditioning and isn't overheating. Or they can hear and learn a lesson easier because the noise of the classroom next door has been quieted by a permanent wall rather than a modular one. Or they want to spend more time in the library because it's bright, inviting, and comfortable to sit in. That's my oldest. Or maybe they just feel more safe and calm at school because they know the school security system was just updated. Whatever the case, our students deserve to feel at home when they are at school, and I hope you will vote to put the Blueprint funding on the November ballot. Thank you.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Godowski, community members, colleagues I got over here in the corner. Thank you. I'm on the spot right now, you guys are aware. My name is Charles Ariano. I'm the principal at Thornton High School, also a very proud graduate of Thornton High School. This is debatable. It was supposed to be 89. It did take me an extra semester, so it was 1990. All right. I'm here again for one reason. I'm very passionate about the bond and the, hopefully approval with the bond for a brand new Thornton High School, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit why. First and foremost, I think everybody in here can agree that the school is the heart of the community. And I really think that Thornton High School could be that anchor, or should be that anchor inside of a Thornton. It hasn't been there for a long time. And I can tell you that again because I've experienced it from 1989 all the way till now being presently the principal of Thornton High School. Our student body's changed. It's changed a lot over the last, again, for me, it's gonna be 35, 38 years, whatever it is. Thornton High School no longer represents our student body. So when we talk about student body feeling warm, welcomed, heard, the biggest thing for me is seen. When you walk in that building, they're not seen. I want to share with you some experiences that I got to go through this summer. I got the opportunity to go to Roosevelt High School and Tomato Bello High School, 2 brand new schools in the northern Denver area as well as in the actual Denver area. I brought back my experiences and with my colleagues, my administrative team, back to my school. I shared that with 300 different students of all various ranges of abilities, anywhere from a 9th grader to a 12th grader, sped students to my highest achieving students, and they were just overwhelmed with the possibilities, and I say endless possibilities of a brand new school, whether that be a brand new facility whether that be expanded CTE programming, or whether that be just working toilets inside of our school. They were very overwhelmed with that possibility. They love the idea of having some voice inside this. So I got to collect some feedback from those students, and they got the opportunity to tell me what they want in a school. Again, it's very inspirational to me as being a leader in the building to hearing this, but even more so because I get to be part of this. So again, board, I'm asking you guys to hopefully move forward with that bond approval. Public, I'm asking you guys to hopefully approve that as well. Thank you for your time.
Tonight, all across our district, from 80th Avenue to Highway 7, Holly, Sheridan, all kinds of potential is going to sleep tonight. Potential to be a business owner, firefighter, superintendent, and many, many other things. And all of them, at some point, need to have that potential fully realized. And we have an opportunity to make sure that all that potential doesn't just stay potential, that it's realized. And so the why are those kids, and the why are all the kids that came before them that this community supported over time, that are here now and have an opportunity to pay it forward. We had an all-staff kickoff back at the beginning of August. We're very fortunate enough to hear from some recent graduates. And if you're kind of caught in all the details and you need to get reminded of the why behind all of this, these kids will make it clear.
What makes me proud of being a part of the STEM Launch community is the perseverance for my education and well-being. Also, the diversity of the community there and support for exploring and expressing the ways of my culture.
So I'm here today not just as a graduate, but as someone whose life was changed, whose course was altered by the experiences and opportunities offered by Adams 12. My junior and senior years at Future Forward CTE classes that I discovered the path that truly resonated with me. Attending Future Forward was like stepping into a new world of possibility. The construction classes that I took there were not merely about learning skills or a trade. They were about uncovering a passion and finding a true sense of purpose. Your commitment to fostering an environment where students can try new things and take risks is invaluable.
I had the privilege of attending Vantage Point's first concurrent enrollment college class. And today I can happily say I'm a Bachelor Scholar.
I moved to the United States on July 15, 2021. Being a high school junior was difficult. Day by day, school became more enjoyable. I found friends and learned about their cultures and religions. Teachers were friendly and funny. They always tried to help me, even though my English was very limited at the time. I truly appreciate all my teachers who stood by me to help me to achieve my goals. Graduating from Thornton High School was a dream come true.
To me, Washington Square was my safe place to try new things and see what I liked and transform myself into the person I want to grow up to be. But if it wasn't for Mr. Cooper, I would not be the person standing here today. He was my construction teacher for 3 years, and it's thanks to him that I am a back-to-back Skills USA state champion for plumbing. And with all the lessons I learned along the way, I am proud that I have recently received an MTech Experience Award as a first-year apprentice. No student could have ever done it on their own, and that is where you teachers and staff commitment and consistency comes in. You are all one team, transforming all these students to be the best version of themselves.
And that board and community is our presentation to you tonight. On the screen, if you'd like to take a screenshot, this is also posted online, is a website where you can get into all the details of these funding proposals. Again, we thank you for your attention. I'd like to thank again our folks who came to share their own stories tonight, and thank you all again for being here.
Thank you, Bo, and thank for each and every one of you that came up and told us your stories tonight. We are now going to give other people opportunity to share their stories. We've decided that we'll go ahead and give everybody the 3 minutes that we usually give for public comment. We ask that if your story is in line with somebody else's, that maybe you cut back a little bit on your time. And I would suggest that we call 3 at a time so that they're ready to go, so that we can keep this moving, so that everybody has a chance to speak. And there might be a couple other rules that Stephanie's going to read.
Yeah, sorry, it might be a little bit of repeat. Good evening. The board welcomes public comment to learn about the preferences and concerns of the Adams 12 five-star community. Our normal practice is to allow 3 minutes per speaker. However, we have a large number of individuals who have signed up to address the board this evening. So in the interest of allowing everyone an opportunity to speak and to keep the meeting moving smoothly, we kindly ask that if someone has already expressed a point or concern that you share, you consider either shortening your comment or simply noting your agreement with what has been said. Please use the microphone and state your name and city of residence before beginning your comments. Please give any handouts or information you would like to share with the board to Lee Coca here on my right. Speakers will be prompted with a sign when you have 30 seconds remaining. Please begin to wrap up your comments at that time. Speakers will be informed when time has expired, and we would ask that you please end your comments at that time. Our first speaker is Thomas Scoville. Sorry, followed by Christina Rodriguez and Edward Jimenez III together, and then Kathy Plomer.
Good evening, I'm Thomas Scoville from Thornton. Harden not your hearts. It's quite a pep rally. You're probably not preaching to the right people, though. I realize the school district is a fully owned subsidiary of the teachers union, so I understand why you fawn all over them. Sadly, you seem to have no such love for taxpayers, who are the most important part of the district. No taxpayers, no government schools. I ask again for you to vote on my resolution of taxpayer appreciation that I provided to the chairman in April. Harden not your hearts. How much is enough? The taxes I'm paying this year are 25% more than the year before, yet you want more. You propose to increase the rate by over 8 mills, a 13% hike, for a compounded increase of 41%. This sounds greedy to me. Does it to you? Because taxes are the price of government, Kamala would have to call this price gouging. Stop it. The cost of living on the Front Range is too high. Stop driving it up. Stop gouging. You also want to sell $830 million in bonds with a repayment of $1,450 million. A finance cost of $620 million in 20 years to be paid back at $70 million a month, or $70 million a year. That finance charge means everything you buy with those bonds will cost more than 75% more than it should. This is silly. Because if you just use the $70 million you say you have, in 12 years' time, doing pay-as-you-go, you get the $830 million, and you've saved $620 million, and that's something more than 1 year's budget, I think. Of course, this is all about you. This is all about you spending other people's money, and you may not be used to thinking in these terms, except you have a duty to be good stewards to the taxpayers. Step up to the bar. These bonds and taxes are a huge hurt to the people. Table these ideas. Don't be hard-hearted. Show some love for the people that pay your bills and the union salaries. Thank you very much.
We got one. Thank you. Hi, my name's Christina. I'm from Thornton. This is my son, Edward. On behalf of Thornton High School, I am a Trojan. I was a former Trojan. I have a daughter that graduated there in 2020, and I currently have 3 student athletes attending Thornton High School, which is, one of them is set to graduate in 2025. So as you can imagine, re-envisioning program at the facility at Thornton High School would be beneficial, not only for my family, but for all of the students, staff, community, and for the future generations to come. I believe by envisioning Thornton High School, the environment, we will provide our students with the resources they need to thrive rapidly in this changing world. This blueprint proposal represents a significant step forward in creating a future-ready educational environment that fosters innovation, security, safety, and a lifelong learning. I think with a new building, we have the opportunity to envision what education can look like. Right now, we are very college-minded in our academic sense and need to shift to support all students who may need support with a career. New career technical education opportunities would provide some of our students who are disconnected the chance to thrive in an academic setting where they have buy-in to what they are learning. With that, we look forward to you supporting this vision and bringing it to life to ensure the success of all current and future students.
Thank you.
My name is Edward. I am a high school student at Thornton School. I would love for our school to have an opportunity to be re-envisioned. I feel this would help with the success of all students academically, physically, and mentally.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathy Plummer. I live in Broomfield, Colorado, and it's nerve-wracking. I have some notes. So I am here, obviously, because I am an enthusiastic supporter of this proposal. I recognize that we have different viewpoints in the audience, but I just want to say this decision is anything but selfish. This is for our kids. I have 3 graduates of Adams 12. They all chose the college path, and they were ready. They were ready because they had amazing teachers who cared about them as people. They were ready because they had teachers, staff who prepared them academically with what they needed to know. And that investment is so important to our communities, all of our 5 stars. Every single person in this room and outside of this room benefits if we have a strong school district. And that requires continuing investment. Someone earlier mentioned, we all know if we have a house or if we are even renting, we have to keep investing in that property. All they're asking with this bond is to reinvest money that they're already collecting for a new purpose, because that's what the law requires. It's not an increase to people's tax rates. That's an easy decision, but it's gonna look like a big number on everyone's ballot. The mill levy override, our teachers deserve to be paid like $1 million a year. Let's clap for anybody who thinks it right. We cannot pay our teachers enough for the jobs that they do, and this won't get close. But it's an effort, and we can show the people who are with our kids every day how much we care and how much we support. And if that hurts a little, that's, again, we all have to make our decisions, but I think it's an incredible investment and one that we really need to think hard about. I know the process that was gone through, it was a public process, there was input, and that these numbers were not come to lightly, that there were other things that were wanted and needed that were cut from some of these proposals. So I'm just here to say, go Adams 12, go our community. I loved that I could not find a parking place, and let's get this done.
Okay, our next 3 speakers will be Gabriela Chavez, Sarah Hughes, and Ashley Edinger.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gabby Chavez, and I live in Commerce City, and I'm a civic influencer with Rocky Mountain Partnership. And some of you guys heard this last week, but I think it's important enough to share again. While I didn't graduate from Adams 12, and I don't live in the district, I did graduate from the neighboring 27J school district. And I experienced firsthand what it's like to go through a school system that never passed a mill levy override from the time that I was in first grade to the time that I graduated high school. That's right, a mill levy that didn't pass in over 20 years. I felt the effects of a 4-day school week. I felt the effects of teachers constantly leaving, and I felt the effects of the lack of resources. Our teachers struggled, not because they lacked passion, but because they weren't compensated fairly for their dedication. I also saw the irony of passing bonds to build shiny new schools and buildings, only to struggle to staff them due to inadequate funding. Passing a bond without a mill levy override leaves our schools underfunded and our students underserved. This is not an original experience. This is what many students experience, no matter the school district. That's why I strongly urge the school board to put a mill levy override and a bond on the ballot this fall. Our students deserve to be invested in. They deserve the resources, support, and opportunities that come with adequate funding. And to those in the audience, I encourage you to support our school system in this effort. Together, we can uplift our students and provide them with the opportunities that they need to thrive both in and outside of the classroom. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Sarah Hughes. I live in Westminster, and today I'm here as a Adams 12 alumna. I am also here as a civic influencer, and I'm here as a concerned citizen because Adams 12 made me. I tallied down all the people in my family that went to Adams 12, and it's pretty cool to see it written out. 6 aunts, 4 uncles, 1 mother, mine, 4 cousins, and 1 younger brother. Not all of that family is related to me by blood, but all are authentic family, and they were found because of Adams 12. I found my best friend through Adams 12, and if we're anything like my mom and her best friend, who I proudly call my aunt, the kids that I have one day will call her aunt as well. And I want my kids to be able to go to Adams 12 just like I did, and to enjoy the same quality of education as I did and my mother. And I think it speaks highly of the Adams 12 school system that my mom and my aunt, who went there and graduated, sent all of their 5 children to the school district because they trusted the school district to teach all of us what we needed to learn and to help prepare us for our future careers. And that helps our region produce better employees one day. I envision the students that go to our schools being sought after because they go to the school district, not in spite of us going to the school district. I think if the school board put this bond and mill levy on the ballot, it would allow us as the community to invest in our students and our children. And I want that chance for us to show in measurable dollars how much we not only believe in our children, but also our future. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ashley Ranger, and I am a resident of Thornton. Good evening, school board, Superintendent Godowski, community. Though I don't have any children in the district, and I am not a student myself at the district, I deeply care about our community and its future. I stand before you today to express my strong support for placing these critical measures on the ballot that will directly impact the well-being of our youth, but also our workforce and our community at large. As a Thornton resident, I understand that the decisions we make today will shape the future of our community. The school district is not just an educational institution. It's a cornerstone of our region's current and future economic prosperity. The challenges we face in this community are interconnected, and addressing them holistically is how we're going to change things here, and it's going to lead to shared economic growth for everyone. Many of you may not know this, but our school district is part of a broader regional movement to support 71,000 more young people in meeting key cradle-to-career milestones, and is also part of a national movement to do that for 4 million more young people. Yet we face a stark reality. In this region alone, there are over 40,000 young people who are not meeting these milestones. And this is not just a loss for them, but a significant untapped potential for our community and the economy. Colorado's biggest economic asset is its untapped talent. Unfortunately, our education systems do not have the resources all the time to fully prepare our students for the jobs of now and in the future. Adams 12 is doing a really great job with the resources it has available, but it can do more with additional support. A recent report from the Common Sense Institute highlighted that the labor shortage is costing our state $46 billion annually in GDP. Meeting workforce needs could boost the state's GDP by 10%, and employing just 79,000 more skilled workers would provide substantial economic advantages, including over 25,000 additional jobs, $2.85 billion in GDP, and $4.91 billion in personal income. At the end of the day, when our district wins, we all win. Consider the story that Gabby shared about 27J schools, which passed an unlikely measure that allowed them to increase pay, add 63 new safety staff last year, and introduce new STEM and CTE programs. These changes resulted in 475 more students earning industry certificates and a 59% increase in STEM and CTE enrollments, ensuring that more students have what they need to thrive. This is a powerful testament to what can be achieved when we invest in our schools. This district is often passed over for resources, and we cannot continue to let that continue. We need to support this training ground for our future and current workforce. The mill and the bond are both essential. As Gabby mentioned, it's like having empty buildings and a workforce that is ill-prepared for the challenges of tomorrow. And if the data doesn't speak to you, I turned 30
Ma'am,
this
your
year
time has
in
expired.
October, and this would be a pretty unbeatable birthday present.
Our next three speakers will be David Flaherty, Kathy Henson, and Karen Bigelow.
Okay, hello. Hi, my name is David Flaherty. I live in Broomfield, and I'm a board member on the Five Star Foundation. We're proud to support and help so many of your schools and your families in so many ways. And I'm here tonight to advocate for this bond measure, but I also wear two hats. My career, what I do is I'm a pollster. I measure opinions for many school districts, including Adams 12. But what we really do is, and what we've learned from our work over the last 5 years is, you know, we have to make some recommendations to help school board members and staff make educated decisions about bond measures, where the money's going, and so forth. And as I've worked with the district, I just want you to know you have one of the strongest CTE programs in the state, okay? It's a powerhouse. This young man's story is just a perfect example right here. Many voters don't know about CTE. They get overshadowed by a lot of news that's in the national media and so forth. They may not be completely familiar with so many students that benefit from CTE programming and all the other wonderful things that you do in class. And I really advocate for you to put this on this ballot this election cycle, because having the conversation with your community about under Tabor, you're having a conversation, we need new revenue, here's where the money's going to go. And I'm confident that it's just not about CTE, but what you've got to put together here and the strength in the community will, in a very difficult, economic environment, worth having that conversation now rather than later, because the longer you wait, the more expenses are going to be going up, the more teachers you may lose to other districts with higher pay. And so I just want to say my piece tonight, and that I do hope that you put this on the ballot, let the voters have a conversation about what this is all about, how it will benefit them, and I'll leave it at that.
Good evening, Superintendent Godowski and members of the board and the Adams 12 community. My name is Kathy Henson. I am a member of the Thornton City Council, but I am speaking tonight in my personal capacity. I am a proud mother of 2 graduates of the Adams 12 School District from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. One graduated in 2023 and one earlier this year. I'm a graduate of the 5-Star Leadership Academy, and I have served for 5 years on the Finance and Audit Committee here in Adams 12. I've been a classroom volunteer, a Destination Imagination leader, and I'm the daughter of a public school teacher and the mother of an aspiring music educator. And I'm here tonight to unequivocally, enthusiastically, and emphatically ask you to put these measures on the ballot, because there is no better investment in our community than our public education system. I could leave it at that, but I won't. So I want to share with you my experiences on the Finance and Audit Committee. It has been a privilege for me to interview staff members from across every department in this district. And the care and the expertise and the passion with which these people are committed to our students and to stretching every dollar and every penny to invest back into our school system for our students and our staff is humbling and inspiring. It also has led to a bonus building being opened recently called the Independence Academy, which is down in South Thornton where I live, which was a building that was able to be built because of the financial expertise and care and fiscal responsibility of our leaders to bring that to fruition so that we are serving a high-needs population in the best setting for them while also allowing our pathway students to spread out into the building and serve more students and achieve more graduations and more degrees and more success for Adams 12 and our greater community. As I said, I live in South Thornton, and the reimagining and the rebuilding of the Thornton High School is long overdue, like many redevelopment projects in South Thornton. These kids need to know that we believe in them, and we're giving them the same care and concern that we're showing across the district and giving everybody a fair shot at the best educational outcome possible that we can provide them. And to do it by not adding any taxes, with the bond and doing a mill levy override that is still, as you see, not putting us at the top of the list, but keeping us from falling to the bottom and keeping our kids from falling to the bottom. I'm sure there's something else I wanted to say, but I'm going to wrap up. I want to say thank you for all that you do. Thank you, teachers. Let's get this done. To echo the great Kathy Plomer, let's get this done, Adams 12.
Good evening. Good evening, Superintendent Godowski and our board members. My name is Karen Bigelow. While I may be the mayor pro tem for the city of Thornton, I am here as a resident and proud taxpayer. And guess what? I put 3 boys through Adams 12 schools from kindergarten all the way through a senior in high school. All 3 of them incredibly successful. One is now at West Point Military Academy. 2 of them are at at CSU in Fort Collins. My baby went to Future Forward, graduated with a certificate in EMT, and is now able to work as an EMT while going to college. I am a huge proponent of Future Forward and all of our CTE programs. I would love to be able to add a sustainability component to our CEE programs. I think that's incredibly important when we're talking about clean energy and how we're going to be building the future of our state and our city. I also want to say that I know these children are the future of our community. And if we don't invest in our children, how do we expect to have a bright future? Also, our teachers deserve better. They need to be paid so that they can live in our communities, because right now, it is almost impossible for our teachers to live in our local communities because it's so expensive. We need to pay our teachers the right living wage, okay? I am absolutely a proponent of both the bond and the mill levy, and I absolutely hope that everyone will vote yes, and I hope you'll put it on the ballot, and then we can vote yes. Thank you.
Our next 3 speakers are Kirk Morath, Tim Johnson, and Shannon Hancock.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kirk Morath. I have lived in North Glen, Colorado for over 40 years. My daughter attended Adams 12 from kindergarten all the way to graduating from North Glen High in 2000. I honestly say this is really a good marketing effort. And I can say that because my daughter's a director of marketing for a significant corporation in this state. I think the only thing you missed is gaining world peace and combating world hunger. But then I heard about the breakfast and lunch, and I figured, okay, you got it conquered until dinner time. I want to bring a perspective about reality. Currently, we are walking into what a lot of people consider a recession. And asking for more money when everybody else is asking for more money is not going to help. Credit, personal credit, is at the highest point currently of anywhere we've been historically with this country. When you say it's only $20 a month, they may not have that $20. They're using credit. Now, I come from a private sector. I work for a large corporation, have for over 40 years. And for 15 years, as a manager, I was expected to show a 10% year-over-year increase in efficiency. My budget went down, and that's what was expected of me. And I did it. Now here, nothing against you, Superintendent, but I would not come out and brag that I'm using less money than the other guy. If you're working in the private sector, that loses your job. My question would then be, how can you achieve what you're asking to do without asking for more? What can you achieve without asking for more? I am not against students. I'm not against teachers. I'm sure there's lots of teachers in here. I would love to vote myself a raise. It doesn't work that way out there. But I want you to consider, I suspect you're going to put this on the ballot no matter what. You've got too much support, too many teachers are financially have a place in this dogfight. But I want you to consider that. The other people, the people you're asking to give you the money, there's a lot of other people asking them the same question. And we've been asked this over and over and over. Thank you.
My name's Tim Johnson. I live in Thornton. Quick question for the audience. Raise your hand if you are paid by the school district or volunteer with the school district. Okay, thank you very much. So my first issue is with the bond issue. Understand you're going for $830 million on the bond issue, and the wording is deceptive. You say without raising taxes. Well, that bond issue that we voted on before is ending. So you are raising taxes again. You are increasing what we would have gotten. We weren't going to have to pay that money before. So that's a little deceptive. I don't think the wording should be that way. I think the wording should be exactly, we're going to raise your taxes this much. The other part, we all agreed that it was going to end. Now you're trying to raise it again, but you're trying to use deceptive language. Earlier in the evening, they talked about critical needs of $640 million or $604 million to do critical repairs. That's your fault. That should never have gotten that way. That stuff should have been taken care of right away. There is no reason that that should ever get to that level. That's a failure right there. As to the mill levy override, I am back and forth on that. The CTE program, I think, is a fabulous program. I think it will help so many kids and needs to be done. So I am going back and forth on that. What I don't like is the 60% or more failure rating of our students that are not ready to graduate high school and go on to college. 60%. We're not addressing that part. That needs to be addressed. By just adding a raise to people and doing other little things, that doesn't get that done. I need to see a solid reason why those kids, those 60% of kids are not being left behind. I applaud the guys that come out and work hard and do their stuff. They're amazing, and there are those kids, and every one of you have seen somebody that has done an amazing thing. But we can't forget about that other 60 or 70%. We can't let them fall through because they're the ones that need to carry this country forward too. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shannon Hancock. I'm a resident here of Broomfield. I'm a parent in the community. I also just lost my computer screen when it touched the screen over here, so we're going to do this. I'm the executive director of the Five Star Education Foundation. We are a separate 501c3 that's a nonprofit that supports our students in these schools here in this district. We operate separately from, just so you all know, we operate separately from the district's payroll. We operate as a separate entity, and we're run by a board of community members and leaders and parents and people who are concerned about what's happening with our students here in the community. I will tell you that my own family has benefited from the opportunities and the experiences provided by the high quality education that these neighborhood schools have provided for my son, and I'm so grateful. And I want to thank you as unpaid elected officials for the work that you do. It is unbelievable. So thank you, board. Thank you, Superintendent Godowski, for all that you do and your longevity in this role and your commitment to Adams 12. It is unbelievably rare in this time in public schools that a superintendent stays so long and is so committed to a district, so thank you for what you do. So, as I said, we have a board of 15 amazing people who are committed to our students. They come from all walks of this community. They are major business leaders. They are contributors and funders toward the work that we do, and they believe in the potential of our students. We've had the opportunity to stand and work alongside the district as the foundation for almost 40 years, investing in student success and living by our motto that all means all students. And the Mill and Bond represent this investment in students as well, to our students and our schools and our community. Our students, our teachers, our staff have been incredibly challenged in ways that we could have never imagined 10, even 5 years ago. And we need quality educators and staff that can meet the demands in this new era, with these students coming back with new needs, with inflation and the cost of education, of salaries, of materials, supplies, of heat, of water, of technology. It's all increasing, and we need funding that keeps pace. These measures mean that partners like us can come alongside in these investments. I can tell you that we have businesses that are ready to invest in this district because of this Mill and Bond initiative. If you put this measure on the ballot, I can tell you that our funders are ready to walk alongside you, are ready to invest in things that in CTE, in our classrooms, in our projects. And I want you to know that we're all there to support you in this journey. So please consider putting this onto the ballot and let the voters make a choice for our community and for our students. Thank you.
Our final three speakers will be Justin Bochetto, Ike Onwanyuebo, and Christopher Jones.
My name is Justin Bochetto. I live in Thornton, and I'm going to change my speech a little last minute. So last week I spoke about the most influential teacher I had, CAD software, BattleBots, TSA, going to state, going to nationals, and why that teacher was able to do what they did. They were tenured for 6 years plus. They had access to funding for programs, software, and a 3D printer after I graduated using my own portfolio as the test student. But I've also recently heard some counter arguments to Blueprint. By the way, I'm in favor of Blueprint, just to make that clear. And I want to address those more dramatically because there were very valid concerns put up, but I think there was a little bit of gaslighting in that. You cannot compare a school system's funding to capitalistic economics. First off, Our current tax increases are from a tax plan passed in 2017. That is long ago, and it was designed to constantly increase our tax rate. Inflation has only made that worse. So our current tax burden and the frustrations that we have, the struggles that we have, that is a struggle from long ago. It is not something that is recent. It was not something that was decided recently. The other thing is it's really difficult to blame people for not fixing something when they're coming to you to ask for help to fix it. Sorry, that's really frustrating. The school district does a really, really good job of spending the money. We had an auditor from the finance committee come up here and say such a thing. So to sit here and say, you're not doing it, and why haven't you done it, when our school district is asking us to enable them to do it, is just a counterintuitive argument and a little bit of gaslighting, it feels like. So those are just some points I really want to get out there. Otherwise, I'm definitely in favor of Blueprint. I think, as I said in my last talk last week, it is important for us to give every one of our children the opportunity to leave knowing, I'm glad I had that opportunity, which is something we all want. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Ike. I live in Thornton. Thank you for letting me speak. I'll be brief. I support the initiatives that have been discussed tonight. And for anyone who has a problem supporting them or has any doubts, well, let me be blunt. There's no way we have a future without investing in our children. Our children are not a line item in a profit and loss statement. Period. And I think that the only way to look at this is, I'm not going to be here in 40 years, 50, 60 years. You may not be, but our children will be, our grandchildren will be, our great-grandchildren will be. So let's secure their future by investing in them today. Thank you.
Good evening, board, everyone. My name is Christopher Jones. I serve the community of Northglenn, Westminster, Broomfield, and also Thornton and North Denver. I drive for a living, and I have two beautiful sons, twins, and they're in two separate classes. I've had a lot of varying experiences with the education system, and I'm kind of on the fence with the whole Blueprint plan. So I showed up to try to kind of find a balance here. I do agree. It seems like, yeah, it's a kind of voting for your own pay raise. I can't do that, work in private sector. But again, some people may find offense to that, and I apologize. The other thing, too, is I've seen some of the teachers serving in the schools. I've taken time off, sat in the classes. I've also seen the school lunches. I know everybody's got horror stories about their lunches, and I've had some good ones, to be honest with you. So, but some of the teachers did need to leave, and they probably left on their own, or they were asked to leave. So take that into consideration. You need good talent, like they were saying. I totally agree with the CTE programs. I would like to see maybe an addition to consider, and it would be for teaching students how to be a judge or get involved with law. We're sorely in need for that, people being able to read between the lines. And I think having the youth being affected by past decisions from an older generation need to have that ability to combat that. So something to consider. The other thing that I wanted to share was I had one teacher. It was with one of my boys. It was on my birthday, too. During their social study class, they were sitting there showing them how to access the Northglenn City website. And I thought, oh, wow, that's really interesting. Why would you do that? And then she said that they would go ahead and start filing, if you have any complaints, you could go here for it. So one of the examples that she used, and I thought was pretty reasonable, fill in potholes. Everybody hates potholes, right? Yeah. And so I started taking notes because I kind of needed to do that. But then the other kids were asked the question, thank you, what would you do with this? And the responses for the kids really showed their level of understanding of the world. And I feel that some of these programs will help benefit them, but also I do feel that we need to do a better job of screening our teachers. There's too much at stake. The scores are low, and throwing money at it may not fix it. But if it could, let's be critical about this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody for taking the time to be here to share your thoughts. Now it's our turn. So we'll just go on down the line and take our turns and share our thoughts.
To echo what President Goldstein said, thank you all for being here tonight. I'm a little nervous myself speaking in front of so many people. We heard arguments for and against both the bond and the mill, and I think the most important thing that stands out to me is that if this passes, it is not a quick fix to everything going on. Not every teacher is going to get this amazing raise and make all the money in the world. We're not going to overnight change test scores, and we're not going to be able to offer all the programs we want to offer. But this is a step in the right direction. And I hope that we continue to pass bonds and mills in the future to benefit our kids. Someone pointed out tonight that investing in your schools is investing in your community, and that is exactly right. We have to invest in our kids today if we want a stronger tomorrow. With that being said, I'm extremely grateful for the staff, the community members that all came together to put their feelings and ideas together. They were extremely careful and cautious, and even weeded out some of the dream things they wanted, sorry, Northglenn High School, to make this a reasonable ask. It is not at the fault of the school district that inflation is where it is. I do believe that if we fix these things now, we can kind of get ahead of where inflation may go. I also think that we need to be mindful of our taxpayers. Without them, there isn't any school funding, and it is important to be mindful that there are other ballot issues that are going to be voted on, whether it's renovations to a jail or a new fire department or improvements to the city. There are other issues on the ballot. So this isn't, I fully am aware that this is not just one ask. There's going to be a lot of asks this year, and I'm saying our kids are worth it. If we invest in some of these other things, I think it'll better our community, but without children, without people being in the community, it doesn't really matter. So again, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and sharing your feelings and opinions on both sides. I know it was difficult. I know it's late, and you guys have big, busy days. So thank you again for being here tonight. And I think, I support this bond measure and mills wholeheartedly.
Okay, wait up. Director Marshallson, I've been called out of order, sorry. We have to make a motion first. I was just so excited because of all the momentum. All right, so I'm going to entertain a motion to adopt the resolution setting out the ballot questions authorizing the collection of additional local revenue in the amount of $34.5 million and of issuing bonded indebtedness in the amount of $830 million as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, now we can keep going.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being out tonight. I'm having a real adulting moment because I know there's at least another, maybe two 2005 alum in the group. I graduated from Legacy in 2005, so it's very strange to now have kids in here because I still feel like maybe it's 2005 and I should be in high school and not making decisions, but here we are. I have a daughter in third grade, fourth grade, and a son in kindergarten. I had 3 step kiddos go through Adams 12. My mom was an Adams 12 teacher, and my sister was an Adams 12 graduate as well. I am a new board member, so I can tell you for a fact that this has been a long coming project because they were already pretty far down the road when we had to play catch up. So I really appreciate the time, the attention, the detail, the community input that they have put into this. I think it's a wonderful ballot measure that I will be supporting, and I understand the concerns. I've heard them. I've had public school teachers my whole life, so I do understand that. I, however, don't think that there is anything more thankful to a taxpayer and more appropriate that we can do as a board than to put this on the ballot and put it forward to a taxpayer and ask for their opinion. So I appreciate this opportunity.
First of all, I want to thank all the kids who came out today because you're the reason why we do this, and it's wonderful to see you here. And thanks for being such troopers, being here probably pretty close to your bedtime. So I wanted to acknowledge that. The second thing I want to do is present this in two ways. There are two things I'm going to talk about. One is that my philosophy is that we should let the people vote. Right? Let's put this on the ballot and let's let people have that conversation in the public domain. As far as the mill levy override and bond go, I personally am in support of that, and I'll start with a little anecdote. I was the kid who received free lunch. I was the kid who relied on donated school supplies. I was the kid who, thanks to the grace of meeting the right teachers who loved me and supported me, managed to become the first in my family, an extensive family, to earn a PhD. And now I'm a taxpayer and I can pay those taxes. I grew up in subsidized housing. All of this is just to show that when we invest in education on the front end, our community reaps the benefits later down the road, and we can't forget that. The other thing that I'll say is I'm also that magic number of $500,000 home. That's my house. Like, did you use me as a model? And I'm not a wealthy person. My husband's looking for a full-time job right now. And yeah, the $20 extra a month will be painful, but I'm thinking of it in terms of our kids. And I mean our kids. I don't mean my kid, because when we're paying that money every month, a little bit goes to my kid, but a little bit goes to your kid. The issue to me is really until, as Mr. Godowski said, the state finds a way to reliably and truly adequately fund public schools, we're going to have to keep continuing down this pathway. So if you have a problem with this pathway, it's time to start talking to the state about how they fund schools. Because, and I promise I'll step down off my high horse in a moment. For me, when we vote for things like this, what we're telling the state is that your funding, you aim for adequate. That's the law, that's the language. Our kids deserve so much more than adequate. And that's what we're voting for. We're voting for our children's right to a high quality education, not just an education that's, at that basic or C- level. We don't want that. We want more for our kids. So that's where I stand.
Yeah, thank you everyone for being here tonight. This is just amazing, wonderful energy. Love hearing everyone's voices. So I'm going to go through and share some reasons of why I support these measures. When our educators and staff are compensated for their work and for the level and amount of work they provide, our kids benefit. I would wager that every person in this room had an educator that made an impact on them or had an impact on them and even altered their path in some way. I would also wager that you want the same for your kids. And so let's provide that. My youngest, I share this a lot, but my youngest has a visual impairment and some other developmental delays. And I was really, really anxious about him starting kindergarten, really anxious. And He's been amazing. He has an amazing teacher for visually impaired who has been with him since he was 3. He's had an amazing speech pathologist, amazing OT, other support staff that has helped him be successful entering kindergarten. He has a strong kindergarten team. He's going to do well. He's thriving. This is one kid out of thousands with special needs who need this level of support. And we need to compensate our teachers to make sure that we not only keep, but we attract highly qualified educators and staff that can support all of our kids. With the CTE programming, there's not much more I could say that hasn't already been said. It's amazing. We have a strong program. The district has invested so much in building this up for kids. What I will add is the stories you've heard from students, from staff, about CTE programming. Imagine now that being provided for middle schoolers and giving them the same opportunities and the same paths as we have our high schoolers. So Thornton High, the rebuild of Thornton High. Most know that I'm a proud Thornton High parent. Thornton High is my heart. It's my community high school. I live like 2 blocks from it. It's where my oldest it's been her second home for the past 4 years. She graduates in May. While I've been out talking about the blueprint plan in the community, I speak a lot to parents and community members, mainly in South Thornton. And when I bring up the rebuild of Thornton High, their face lights up. And many of them have been in that community for generations. And so what they usually always say when I tell them that part of the bond is to rebuild Thornton High, they say good, because our kids deserve it. And you know what? They do deserve it. They deserve to attend a school that isn't falling apart. They deserve to attend a school that the toilets flush properly. They deserve to attend a school that they can walk in and be as proud of the building as they are of their educators. And they deserve to be shown that they matter. I support these measures because our current students and future students deserve it. This is a district that has a reputation of providing opportunities to former students that have led to a military career, with some as high-ranking officers, including a general. This is a district that has provided opportunities for former students to go into legislation, including the House of Representatives, or U.S. House of Representatives. This is a district that has provided opportunities to students to work toward their certification in a variety of CTE programs in which they have been able to secure strong employment and start up their own businesses. This is a district that has provided newcomer students the educational opportunities they and their families have always dreamt about. And as a daughter of an immigrant, they have big dreams, including sending newcomer students to Princeton. This district has become a staple in the Adams County community and in the success of our community. And the strongest probability of our community thriving is investing in our kids. So as parents, grandparents, and community members, we should want better for our kids and our youth. So let's give them better. As a small business owner, I pay a lot in taxes. And if I could guarantee that it all went to our schools, I'd pay a lot more. So this is why I'm in full support of placing these measures on the ballot.
I've been a member of this community for a long time. I've taught some of you. I taught some of Charlie's friends. I've worked with many of you. I was on that side of the stanchion in 2016 and 2018, and I got up there and spoke to support 2 measures that passed. I want to see 2 more passed. I've seen what happens when the mill levy override passes. So in 2008 and 2018, the voters passed overrides. Classrooms got their needed resources. Staff got well-deserved pay increases. Class sizes were lowered. And I've seen what happens when mill levy overrides do not pass. Classrooms lack in resources, staff do not get pay raises, and programs get cut. We all remember outdoor ed and middle school sports being cut, and class sizes grow. I've seen what happens when bonds pass. I think of all the schools that have built since I started in this district because of bonds. I've seen the deferred maintenance happen. And when bonds don't get passed, the buildings crumble, classrooms get crowded. And we have passed several successful bonds over the years. And these are all at the whim of voters. Voters need to understand the importance of these elections, and without their support, the schools suffer. Our students suffer, our community suffers, their property values suffer, even if they don't have kids in school. And a great public education is what every child has a right to. So we need to do whatever it takes to make that happen. So at the state level, there are some big obstacles in the way of providing great public education. And one of them is the big 5-letter word, Tabor. So the passage of Tabor was, in my opinion, one of the worst choices voters ever made in Colorado. And with the passage of time, the effects have added up, and they'll continue if nothing is done. And because of the BS factor, the state has pulled back over $10 billion that was supposed to go to public schools. That's over $250 million in Adams 12 alone. So, and at the state level, voters never seem to want to pass anything at the statewide initiatives except sin taxes that tax things like gambling, marijuana, and cigarettes, to help education and preschool and all that kind of stuff. But it's up to us at the local level to offset the failure of statewide measures with mill levy and bond ballot measures. There have been several times over the years where we have passed a mill levy or a bond, but the state initiatives have failed. So we get held hostage at the school district level by these things. And you see hours and hours of debate happening at the Capitol, pushing and pulling at the needs of our public education system, and it never seems to solve any problems. I do want to publicly shout out to the following legislatures who serve constituents of Adams 12, because today they supported us in our desire to pass in the special session 24B 1001 so that we could move forward with our resolution language. I want to thank Representative Shannon Bird, Representative William Lindstedt, Representative Jenny Wilford, and Representative Manny Rutenow. I'm sorry that those that serve us that did not support this bill did not understand what we are up against. Now, hopefully, it will pass the Senate, be signed by the governor, and take Propositions 108 and 50 off the ballot. Those 2 ballot measures would be very detrimental to public education, as some of you might already be listening to. The staff at Adams 12 do an excellent job of identifying needs and offering proposals of how money will be spent. They have already identified the needs they prioritize and if we should move forward in a bond and mill pass. My take on all of this is to those who do not want to do what it takes to provide needed resources to our local schools. Don't all our children deserve the best schools? Having the best schools takes adequate resources to be in buildings that are warm, safe, and dry, and staffed with the very best educators, so people that will want to go into education so that we will have a better choice of who we hire, and for those who can afford to live in the community they serve. So I am totally committed to supporting this bond and mill, and I will do my share. I'll be walking doors to make sure that it gets passed. So thank you.
So there's been a lot shared tonight about reasons to put this on the ballot and to vote yes. I thought I might finish with addressing some of the reasons I've heard people advocate for voting no, including some of the comments I've heard tonight. So one of the things I sometimes hear is that if you just got rid of all of the highly paid administrators at the central office and perhaps some of the assistant principals at your secondary schools, you'd have plenty of money and you wouldn't need any more from the taxpayers. The reality is, we pay a lot of attention here about how much money we pay for administration costs each year. Unfortunately, the most recent data we have from the Colorado Department of Education is from 21-22. We ask them often to update it. That's the most recent that we have. But out of the 178 school districts in Colorado, what CDE's Financial Transparency website says for the 2021-22 school year was that we were 172nd out of 178 school districts in terms of how much we spend on administration in the system. We're sandwiched right between Douglas County at 171 and Jeffco at 173. We're in the bottom 8 school districts in the state in terms of how much we spend on administration. So the whole fallacy that we're spending so much money on administration, and if we just lop everyone off, we're going to fix the financial challenges and deficits we face against peers, is a fantasy, and it's not supported by the facts. Second thing I often hear is that you guys are always increasing our taxes. When's enough? And we've heard some of those themes tonight. The facts are that the high water mark for us in terms of our total school levy was back in 2014 at a hair short of 70 mills. Over the last number of years, we've made small, gradual reductions and then a dramatic reduction for this school year. We reduced the bond levy by 3 mills and the mill levy override levy by 3.135 mills. So more than a 6 mil tax rate reduction for this current calendar year. If this mill levy override passes, people will be paying about 2 mills more in their tax rate than they were a year ago. You often hear the notion that they're not going to really spend the money on what they say they're going to, and they're not going to do everything that they've promised, and the money's really going to go just to pay the administrators more money. Variations of those themes. We now have an 8-year record of demonstrating and proving to this community that we've spent every dollar the way that we said we were going to. We have a finance and audit committee that you've heard from tonight that looks at how we spend every dollar of our mill levy override money, and they come to the board each year and say, we've spent the money in accordance with what we told voters we would do. And for the last 8 years plus, we've had our long-range planning and advisory committee that looks at how we spend all of our dollars on the bond, and they too have attested that we've delivered everything that we've said. And in fact, we went $35 million beyond that to deliver the Independence Academy facility that you've heard about tonight that will serve up to 90 students with very intense disabilities. We added $4 million to add beyond what we had planned at Federal Heights in the 2016 bond to improve the outward appearance of that school, to make the playground safer, to add parking at that school. We added more than $10 million to Bowman compared to what we had planned so that it wasn't a second-class facility serving kids in CTE compared to Washington Square. Bottom line is we've proven that what we say is what we do and that you can trust us to spend the money the way that we say that we're going to. I've heard things about families being strapped and about respecting taxpayers, and we've done that here. There are other communities that have much greater rates of poverty who have much higher rates of taxes and have for years in our neighboring communities. Westminster Public Schools, for example, has had more than 24 mills for the mill levy override purpose for years. And the free and reduced lunch percentage in that district is 84%. Aurora Public Schools, their mill levy override amount is 22 plus. And 81% of the students in Aurora qualify for free and reduced lunch. And in Adams 12, we're currently at 16. If we add 8, we're in the same place that Westminster and close to the same place as Aurora have been in a community where 52% of our kids qualify for free and reduced lunch. We've taken a different tack than some other places have. A lot of districts since 2020 increased their mill levy override rates, increased their bond rates. We didn't feel like it was the right thing to do given the challenges that COVID was posing to our community, given really extreme inflation that was going on, given that we were getting a lot of money from the federal government to help us get through the COVID days, but the COVID money is now gone. The inflation's now coming down, less than 3%. So I would submit that we've been very respectful to our taxpayers by not asking for money at the same rates that neighboring districts have for years, and we've just waited until we can't wait any longer for that support. We've heard tonight that more money doesn't mean that you're going to have better outcomes, and that can be true, but it's not been true in Adams 12. Since we passed our 2018 mill levy override that expanded career and technical education, we've increased the number of students getting industry certifications, depending on which type you're looking at, from 431 in the 18-19 school year to 781 last year. Students who are scoring a 3+ on advanced placement exams and earning college credit, the number of kids getting a 3+ back in 2010 was 42%. Back in 2018, it had grown to 58%. And last year, it was at 71%. Last year's graduating seniors had the highest SAT composite score in the history of the school district. And the graduation rate in this district for a number of years now has surpassed the state in a district where our demographics would suggest we should be underperforming the state. Most recently, for the graduating class of 2023, we were at 86, I'm sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. We were 3% above the state at 86.2%, and the state was at 83.1%. So in terms of results, we produce them when we're invested in appropriately. And then finally, we've heard some things about efficiency and cutting fat and waste and looking for efficiency. I've done that work. I started that work my first year in 2010 when we had to cut $22 million out of our budget. And then the next year we cut another $20 million out of the budget. And then the next year we cut another $10 million out of the budget. And a lot of those things haven't come back since. And every year in budget preparation, we work with our senior cabinet and with our principals to say, where can we tighten down? Where can we make reductions? Where can we get more efficient? But as one of my law professors said at law school, best professor I had who taught contracts and business law, you can only ride that horse so far sometimes. And we have ridden the horse of efficiency and culture as far as we can ride it. We now need money if we want to be in a place where we're serving our kids and our community in the way that our neighboring communities are doing. So my advocacy is please vote yes, both board and community.
And now, the moment you've been waiting for. We're going to vote.
Director Assad Lucas.
Strong aye.
Director Battistelli.
Aye.
Director Goldstein.
Aye.
Director Marsh-Holshin.
Aye.
Director Potter.
Aye.
So now it's time to hit the campaign trail. Thank you, everyone that came out to share their stories and to speak their piece. We all really appreciate it. I speak on behalf of everybody up here. I'm really excited about this, and I hope that my fellow board members all get out there with me and knock on doors. Thank you.